So I had my best friend, head of security, Big John, head out to where it all began, Hollywood. Let me introduce you to one of my best friends, our head of security. Right now, Mr. Big John. How about a big hoorah, Marine?
So my first impression of Big John was, wow, this guy is big.
Ladies, as Brett said, I am his head of security as well as his friend. Therefore, his best interest are my best interest.
Big John, he starts picking out girls.
The rest of you girls, make yourselves comfortable. Head on in the house. As you know, backstage access is not always granted. Therefore, I'm afraid to tell you, your tour ends here.
This is ridiculous. I can't freaking believe this. I came here to get my man, and I intend to. My name is Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany. How are
You
you?
cut me, and I was wondering why.
This is part of my job.
Please, I'm begging you. Do anything. Anything.
Tiffany got eliminated and she came back, so I'm pretty sure that she sucked Big John's.
So sometimes our guest comes on and we're having such a good time and we lose track and we don't do our intro. That was the case with Lisa's buddy, Big John Murray from the Rock of Love.
So this week we're talking to Big John Murray, famous for being a bodyguard on the Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. He's done a whole lot of more interesting things than that. And I think y'all are going to enjoy this as much as I did. So thanks for coming.
So welcome to Yeah, with Lisa, Aaron, and Phil.
Hi, John.
So I grew up over there. My father was a Norwood fireman, so we were forced to live in Norwood. He liked that area over there. I don't know why, but it worked out great because I got to know a lot of kids in the neighborhood, and Danny and Lisa and everyone, and it was a great place to grow up.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember those Sunday mornings when Buskin Bakery would open at like 5 a.m.?
Yes, I do.
It smelled like pastry.
Yeah,
Your
you
mouth
could smell that for like a mile.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably why I got to take metformin today. But it's like,
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
like a
When
mag-
I lived on Zumstein, which is the street that Buskins was on at
Yep.
Zumstein, Madison, I actually craved donuts less when I lived on that street and could smell them constantly than
Yep,
I do
absolutely.
now.
That's
When I
is that the
lived
Hyde
on
Park buskins you're
Other
talking about?
side of Norwood. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Buskins at Hyde Park.
Well, there was one in Norwood right by where Ken lives now. Was that
Yeah, that was
Slade?
on what, Montgomery Road, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
You get it on?
I'm sorry, what were you saying? What's there? Oh,
Buskin
no,
Bakery.
that one's gone.
Right, but
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
was
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was
that's always my Buskin Bakery. I
it's a
moved to
little
California.
Caesars now.
yeah.
It's your drive-through pizza place.
It even still looks like a Buskins, the building, but
Yep.
yeah, it's a pizza
No, it's
place.
a pizza.
Yep,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So your dad was a Norwood fireman. So
Yeah.
back then you had to be a resident of Norwood to hold a job down like that, right?
A city type
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. They had a residency law where he was forced to live within the city, which
Yeah.
was fine with me. You know what I mean? I made, like I said, I made a lot of good friends in that neighborhood, and it made me who I am today.
Well, and
Go to
and you still went
Sharpsburg
to
Elementary or
high school, right?
No, I went to Gressley,
Gressley? Okay.
St. Matthews.
Okay.
Got beat up by the nuns.
Yeah, you did.
And believe me, I
I
deserved.
spent a little
Believe
time
me,
with
I deserved every one of them.
And then Purcell.
I
Yep,
did
that's
not
for sure.
deserve what I got.
So you were neighbors at school because we went to Sharpsburg. And you were neighbors at home as well. But did you graduate?
Exactly.
Did you graduate?
I graduated in '88.
88. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he
Yeah.
was a little behind you guys. 'cause
Right.
Danny-
Phil and I are Norwood, class of '86.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing that I was thinking about the football though is that Purcell in 80, '86, they won. Was this the championship that they won? The state championship, 1986, was that the year in
Right
question?
there, baby.
Beats me, man.
Yep. 86. Seniors graduated at 87. We went 14-0. We were the number 2 ranked high school team in the nation. And luckily, Purcell Marion just opened up their new facility. They have a football stadium that's been about 65 years in the making. So,
Oh, so they
have a
don't
new
play at
stadium now.
Waterworks
And,
anymore.
no, they got their own stadium, and it's quite an exciting time around old Purcell Marion. I'm going to go up there.
Oh, good for them.
It's the end of September because they're going to do a field dedication to Guy Barrett's area, a very good friend of mine. God rest his soul.
Oh,
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I didn't know a lot of, didn't Ray Henry go to Purcell? Aaron?
No, I knew him in Norwood.
Okay. Now, I knew very few people that went, even my contemporaries that went to Purcell.
I knew more people that went to
Carla
St.
went to
X than Purcell.
my cousin Carla went there. You'd have probably noticed her, 6 foot tall blonde who was an atheist.
Right.
I didn't really hang out with a whole lot of people when I went to school there.
Okay.
I was like the outcast. I was the jock that liked to smoke weed.
I think she's more a contemporary as far as graduating in 86.
Gotcha.
7. So, but you still, it's hard to miss a 6 foot tall blonde in a school
Exactly.
uniform, arguing with the nuns about the actual, whether God exists or not.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's a thought that I
Her
had.
parents paid good money for it too.
Yes, exactly.
The thought I had when I was looking through researching this show. You were an offensive lineman, right? Like
Correct.
right tackle?
Left tackle.
Left tackle. Okay. So, I just wonder, this might be a really out there question, but the fact that you went into security, that you were Brett Michaels and Kid Rock, you worked with these guys and you kind of protected them. I wonder, do you think about the metaphor of that? Did you really, when you were young, I heard you in another podcast where you said that you imagined yourself maybe having a career in football, right?
Yeah, well, that was the gist of it. I mean, I had college scholarship offers around the country. But unfortunately, in 1988, 87, 88, I became one of the first people in Cincinnati that became an official victim, if you will, of Proposition 48. My grade point average sucked. I was smart, but I never applied myself in the classroom. I could tell you everything and anything that they wanted to know, but I just didn't apply myself. And I did horrible on tests until they figured out that I couldn't physically take it from my brain and put it on paper.
Yeah.
But that was before all these diagnoses and everything they come up with nowadays. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore.
Do you think it was, is it dyslexia or something, one of the others?
No, I think it was just lack of commitment, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
My dream and my goals were to go in the Marine Corps. So schoolwork really wasn't my priority. I wanted to go in the Marines, and I was going to make that a career. And after I did a few things in the Marine Corps, I decided that was not the best career decision because I was a big ass target, and I decided to come back out. But yeah, initially, I mean, my dad, everybody were grooming me to be football players and a football player, and hopefully go to the professional and college level. But let's face it, 1 in 1,000 make it to the NFL.
Did you ever play baseball?
I did when I was
when I was
a kid, when I was a young kid.
That's 6'6" pitcher. That's kind of
That's
what
Randy
they
White.
are.
Yeah,
That's
that's
most
some
of
Randy
them.
White stuff.
Right.
Yeah, most of the popular pitchers now
So
are
Yep.
taller.
It's rare to find a pitcher under 6 feet tall now.
Absolutely.
we don't do a lot of streaming, but we should mention and say hello to Danny,
Mm-hmm.
Terry,
What's up, Danny?
Yeah, hi, Danny.
and Pam.
Terry
My
is-
shaman. Hi, Terry. Who else is out there?
Pam.
Hi, Pam.
Pam.
I don't think I know
Sheriff's
Pam.
assistant,
Oh, hi, Pam.
Oh, hi, Pam.
Pam Beckler.
Mhm.
So yeah, they have a couple questions and
Sure, yeah. Fire away.
Well, yeah, Danny wants to know about the probation officer job. That's
When I first came out of the Marine Corps, I started working at 2020. Everybody in Cincinnati and Norwood knows what that is. And
Juvenile
basically,
hall.
yeah. And basically what that is, it's a juvenile correctional facility. And I was working with kids that were predominantly bindovers. So they were going to be tried as adults.
2020 Burnett Avenue.
The problem is, after, let's see, I was there for 2.5 years, I think. And, it got to the point where the people that I was dealing with were, like I said, they were the bindovers. So they wanted to start physically assaulting the staff and everything else. And my philosophy was, if you hit me like a man, I'm going to hit you back like a man. And Hamilton County didn't like that too much.
Probably not. Those bitches.
well, I applied for a job at the jail, and I went for the interview, and I think they were going to give me the job, but they said, when you're doing this job, you're going to be basically the boss of about 120 inmates or something. And they may be in here for, child support, but that doesn't mean they haven't murdered somebody. And it's like,
Jesus.
you think you want to accept that risk? And I'm like, I wound up working for Donna's Potty Keg after all. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned very quickly that COs and the likes don't run the facilities, the inmates do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could just imagine like sitting in my, it's supposed to be having prisoners load food onto a truck and then deliver them to different jails. And it's like, I could just imagine like getting into the truck and there'd be somebody sitting next to me or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I never had to do that. I was locked in with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fun.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I literally was locked in the cells with them. So
And
there was about,
that they have all the rights.
These were juveniles. This was 2020.
they were, yeah, the building itself was juveniles, but what I dealt with was considered the A wing, or the A pod, which was the bindovers, the more serious crimes that juveniles committed, murder,
The tried as an adults.
armed robbery, and they get tried as adults. Yeah.
Wow.
So they know where they're going, and basically what they're doing is they're amping themselves up to get in that mindset. So they think they know where they're going.
But you kind of got it.
They try to take it out on a lot of the staff, and
breaking up a little. But like when you were doing this, you kind of got an itch, though. I mean, you kind of you liked rock and roll, right? I mean, you liked the idea of
I loved rock and roll. What happened was when I quit there, I was basically told either quit or you're fired, because I got into it with a kid, and I kind of went a little bit too far. That's just the way it is. Like I said, I'm an open book, so I'm not afraid to tell anybody anything. The kid hit me, sucker punched me from behind, and I probably went a little bit too hard on him. And it's funny. I've seen the kid since then. He's like, man, you got me good. He's like, and he apologized. So, but anyway, when I left there, I went back in. I went into
reaction
professional
than
wrestling.
anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much thought you put
quit
into
there,
it.
I went into professional wrestling and started working at back then it was known as Annie's. Now it's Riverfront Live, a live music venue.
Annie's isn't Annie's anymore?
No, it's called Riverfront Live.
They still have the big nasty urinal trough, though, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That place was
I was working security down there with a great, amazing team, and live music was coming through. And I had met some of these guys in LA when I was in the Marines, and I go up to LA on the weekends and kept in touch with them. And one thing led to another. The wrestling career, early on, I injured my neck, and I was a little bit gun shy getting back in the ring, because we were doing some extreme matches, and I was training at the HWA in Cincinnati with Cody Hawk and Sean Casey, he's known for his WWE work, and some guys that were in the ECW and stuff like that. Not
the Reds first baseman.
No, different Sean. But I became a little bit gun shy after I hurt my neck, and luck would have it that I went up to Cleveland, Ohio. I was invited by the guys from Rat because they were opening up for Poison, and I was invited by the guys from Rat, the drummer Rat, specifically Bobby Blotzer and Stephen Piercy. And they told me Bobby wanted to ride back to the hotel, so my friend took him back to the hotel, and Bobby told me, he said, just ride the bus back. And I was like, okay, cool. So, not knowing that he meant the band bus, I got on the crew bus with all the crew guys. We're drinking, having a good time, doing what we do. And next thing you know, I'm in Detroit, and the guys in Rat offered me a job.
You're on the wrong bus.
Yep, the guys in Rat offered me a job.
The story of your life.
Yeah, I know, right? But the guys in Rat offered me a job, and I never looked back.
Don't blame
Moved
you.
on to work with Poison, and worked with Kid Rock, and worked with Ryan Setzer and Stray Cats and ZZ Top and the Pretenders and Saliva and Nickelback and Fuel and you name it. I got to live my dreams.
Right.
Very cool.
I worked.
Did your wrestling career overlap at all with Brian Pillman, another Norwoodian?
Brian is actually one of the reasons I got into wrestling. I knew Brian growing up very well.
Cool.
Even though he was a few years older than me, I knew Brian pretty well, and I'm really good friends with his son, Brian Jr., who's now part of professional wrestling, and he wrestles for the AEW, wrestles for AEW, and I think he does, unless he's I don't know what's going on with contracts anymore nowadays. I really don't follow it.
Last you knew, he was wrestling with the AEW.
The last time I was in the ring was June after my heart transplant, and that was to say goodbye.
Okay.
Wow.
So
fairly recent then. I didn't. Yeah. I like I said,
that sentence dropped a whole lot of question seeds in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I started wrestling when I came back from Hawaii in 2014, 2015. And even though I was having heart problems, I wanted to finish out that dream, and it turned into some pretty memorable events.
Yeah.
So you've had a heart transplant.
I had a heart transplant on St. Patrick's Day this year.
Oh.
Just over 5 months ago.
Wow. And a month later, you were in the ring?
No. A month later, I was there. No, like 2 months later, March, April, May, June. I went back in June to officially retire and say goodbye.
Ah, gotcha.
No, hell no. The wrestling's over. I got to protect this heart now.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa and I attended one HWA event, and I don't even know if she remembers, but it was an all-female event.
Yeah, I remember.
And it had like
Really?
It had Sumi Saki on it, Tracy Brooks.
Yep.
The redheaded girl, I can't remember her name, but she's really good.
Elena Heavenly.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Yep.
In Heavenly. And it's like
Elena Heavenly and what was the other girl? I think her name was Brandy. I can't think of her name. But
Check for questions or hand me your phone.
the HWA is synonymous with, now it's LA King or LA Knight. He used to be Eli Drake in the wrestling world. John Moxley, who's Mox in AEW. Man, there were a lot of people that Cody Hawk trained that went on to be mainliners and headliners in the WWE, ECW, and now there's NWA and all these other ones. So wrestling's made a little bit of a comeback, and it's really done good. And a lot of the people that Cody Hawk trained are the money makers and the bread makers now. So,
right.
No.
But AEW is really taking a step forward from what I can tell. Like, I don't really watch wrestling that much anymore, but there was a point there in like the mid 2000s where WWE was it. You were crushed if you were not. But I see AEW, like, it seems to be gaining traction. I see,
Well, there's you've got a lot of people from the WWE and WWF days that not only are still in the ring and still talent, but there's a lot of them behind the scenes. Jerry Lynn, a very good friend of mine, was still to this day, I say, was one of the best matches I've ever seen in the ECW. And he's part of the upper echelon of the behind the scenes stuff for AEW. So you've got a lot of talent there, and you got a lot of people that know what they're doing. They know what works, and they know if you and I feel blessed, because when I first started wrestling, everybody was chewing my butt about just listen. We're going to teach you how to tell a story. We're going to teach you psychology. We're going to teach you this. I thought I was too much. I was better than all that. I didn't need to know anything. Now we're telling the next generation the same exact thing, because without psychology, without storytelling, without a gimmick and a character, you're nothing.
Right.
And I wish I would have listened to him a little bit more in the beginning, but so is life.
I think, when you look at it, it's probably 60-40 as far as the gimmick, the acting, the comedy, everything that goes into a great wrestler. It's probably 60% of his success is attributed to that, his charisma.
Absolutely. 60,
40%.
dude, I would say 90% of it is attributed to psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, you can teach a monkey to wrestle, but if there's not psychology and there's not a storyline and they don't follow that storyline, it's useless. If you can make the people, one, believe in what they're seeing, and two, make them feel like they're a part of it, you win all the way around.
Yeah, it's performance art then.
Yeah. I remember Chris Benoit was like the greatest technical wrestler in the world, but
he's a great guy. Great guy.
Really, they didn't really build up his, that's what he was. I guess that was his gimmick, was that he was this,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
he was a technician, and he was a great technician of wrestling, psychology, everything, and he lived his gimmick. I mean, Chris Benoit was Chris Benoit. What you saw in the ring is who you saw outside the ring.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, life doesn't end the same way as it does for everybody else. But he was in a dark place, and things happened.
Right. Yeah, that was very sad what happened there in so many ways,
Well, actually, this leads to a question Danny asked, and I think it's really relevant here. What would you like to say to the world, and especially youth, now that you're older, wiser, and have a second chance at life?
Don't ever quit. Never, ever, 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 ever quit. Even when you think that you're done and you can't go any further, you will. I promise you. Turn it over to God. Do whatever. Turn it over to your higher power. If it's not God, if it's Buddha, if it's Mahatma Gandhi, I don't care who it is.
If it's your cat.
Turn it over, and there's always somebody looking out for you. And when you think you can't go any further, you do. I will be the first to tell you I lived a very blessed life. Didn't always look at it that way. Took advantage of a lot of situations. Took a lot of things for granted. And the drinking and the drugs eventually became a crutch, if you will, because there's a lot of things that happened to me in the Marine Corps. There's a lot of things that I fought with, as far as on a personal level, with my father and my family and everything else, that had it not been for turning everything over, I wouldn't be here today. I just finally looked up and said, hey, you know what, God, I'm giving it to you. This is all you. Tell me what to do.
Right. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think Thea had a question there for him.
Well, yes, but it's not. It's
Hi, Thea.
pertaining to the rock and roll career.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Admin Thea from Rock and Roll Heaven asked, did you get to interact with Daniela Clark, Sharon Osbourne, or Ricky Rickman? Or Rackman?
Ricky Rackman.
Ricky Rackman, yeah, absolutely. I knew Ricky. I knew Ricky way before the Rock of Love. He moderated the reunion shows. Ricky was instrumental in the '80s rock scene, where he was co-owner of the Cat House up in Hollywood.
Yep.
With Tammy Down from Faster Pussycat, and I'd spend my weekends up there when I was stationed out in Camp Pendleton. Mind you, a lot
keep
of
a
these
foot in the
bands were
gutter and the
just
hand in the
starting.
gold or something.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Rackman, Sharon Osbourne, I got to interact with her a little bit more on the Celebrity Apprentice when Brett was on the Celebrity Apprentice, as opposed to the rock and roll business. But yeah, I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to work with a lot of high profile people, and I've learned so much from them.
Yeah. I forgot Brett was on that. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
So many people passed through that show, and
Yeah.
Trump shot him down.
I kind of have a thing against that now, simply because I feel like that's what made Trump
Turned him into a monster.
relatable to a lot of people in America. In some ways, because the show made him appear a little reasonable and not at all insane.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but I'm going to take the advice of Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne.
Uh-huh.
I don't discuss politics
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
My thing is it doesn't matter who you are or what you believe in. That's your right to believe in it, and we're not always. Some people are not always going to agree, and we can agree to disagree. But I will not discuss politics with anyone outside of immediate family or people. No, I mean nothing towards you. I'm just saying.
No, that was all I was saying.
That
I felt like the show made him a little too relatable. I felt like.
Well, that does that to everybody. I mean, I'm on the Rock of Love with Bret Michaels, and everybody thought they knew us. You know what I mean? They thought they were our best friends, and I'm like, I don't know you. I really don't know you because you saw something on TV where I kept it, and Bret kept it as real as we possibly could because we didn't want people to say, "Oh, you were somebody else on TV, or you're somebody in real life." Obviously, there's things that were not in our control. But 99.99% of that was.
I know that I don't remember if it was Dustin Hoffman, but it was somebody who was filming Rain Man. And they said that they would love to come back to Cincinnati and film more because that was the first time they'd been able in years to walk down the street, know that people recognized them, but the people smiled and kept going.
Oh, I've been blessed.
Jump on them.
Frank Grillo, a great actor. I was in his movies here in Cincinnati. Emilio Estevez, he lives here. He's got a condo downtown. He's got a condo down in East End, by the boathouse.
Ooh,
I mean, Cincinnati is very well represented in the movie business because not only are the tax incentives, but because it's very easy to work with people here, and it's very easy there's a lot of great screenwriters and there's a lot of great talent agencies here that people really don't know about.
Cool.
And well, you got
you got school creative and performing arts too.
Right. So you can work from that pool, and that is a school that has put out quite a few, well, at least a few A-list celebrities.
Absolutely. All the Lachey's and a couple other ones, oh God, what's her?
Sarah
Jessica Parker.
Do they still have CAPE? Cincinnati Academy of
No,
Physical
I don't think
Education?
they have that anymore.
I don't think so. It's something else now.
Yeah.
I think it's a language academy now, or at least the location.
Right.
As a wrestler, did you use performance enhancing drugs at all? I know it's big. And
not when I was a wrestler. No, when I was in the Marines, I did. Which is probably why it's a contributing factor to, what I just went through with the heart. I mean, let's face it, when you're 19, you're invincible. When you're 21, you're invincible. There is absolutely nothing that you can tell a 19 or a 21-year-old that they don't already know. Unfortunately, we find out the reality and the real ramifications of the things that we've done 30, 40, 50 years later.
So is it a human heart or a artificial heart?
No, it's a human heart. Okay. All I know is that it was a young kid that was involved in some kind of a fatal accident, and I got lucky enough to receive his heart. I won't be able to find out anything from the family or anything for at least a year, and that's only if they approve.
I forgot it's still that recent. Yeah.
More power.
You seem to be doing really well.
Yeah, you seem really
trying.
Yeah.
Good days.
I'm sorry, broke up there, John.
Yeah, the phone froze.
I said you get good days and bad days.
Yeah.
You got me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Is meeting the family something that you are?
Well, I have every intention on meeting the family after a year. If in fact they don't want to meet me and they've moved on and their grief is complete, what I've done is on the 17th of every month, I go and I write a letter saying, hey, this is what's happened over the last 30 days. This is how I felt. This is what I'm continuing to do. This is, what
This is how I'm
your
honoring the
son's
child.
gift has allowed me to do. That way, at the end of the year, even if they don't want to meet me, I can hand these letters over to the transplant coordinator and say, please let them read these when they're ready so they know that this was not wasted.
Cool.
I can't even imagine not wanting to hug the receptacle of my child's heart.
Yeah, I can't imagine losing a son or a daughter. So
Right.
I don't know how I would feel at that
Yeah.
point.
Exactly. I'm just saying for me personally. Of course,
yeah.
now I have not had any children. So,
Right.
yeah.
So it was
But
Aaron mentioned.
I will say this. I have a friend who had faced the possibility of losing her child and he wanted to be a donor. And she said, well, if that happens, whoever has your parts is my family.
That's very, very commendable.
Yeah.
And I completely understand their feeling on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just my, that's where I think of that from.
Sure.
I'd like to keep picking on that wrestling thing for a second.
Okay.
You're a wrestling fan, aren't you?
About the wrestling.
He would like you to believe that that they're above reproach, that there is no performance enhancing drugs in the WWE. But
well, here's the thing. Vince McMahon made it. We call it kayfabe. It was the magic behind the curtain.
mm-hmm.
When he broke kayfabe and he started calling it sports entertainment, and he let everybody know what we were doing behind the scenes and how we became sports entertainers.
Right.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the truth came out. The thing is when you come through that curtain and you're standing in the ring. When we were kids, it was Hulk Hogan. It was Andre the Giant. It was Bruno Sammartino. It was Sergeant Slaughter. These
Roddy
guys were
Piper,
superheroes, and
Jimmy
they looked
Snuka.
like superheroes.
Yeah, I stopped watching wrestling like late 80s, early 90s, around the time Hulk Hogan started getting big.
Yes. And those guys were our superheroes. And when you come through the ring and these kids look at you like you're their superhero, it's very hard not to keep going and pursuing that even further and further and further. And of course, you put on that image and you get that look, you're going to be making the big dollars,
Right.
So, but,
well,
I don't condone it, nor I don't defend it, nor do I,
Yeah.
Right. It's a crazy lifestyle. It seems like you can see from the outside. I don't pretend to know, but you can just see they're doing dark matches. They're not just doing like one match a week. They're out there like maybe 5
Oh, yeah.
times.
Absolutely. You're out there every night.
Yeah.
Like
All I know is what I saw on the Mickey Rourke movie, The Wrestler.
Yeah.
That's the most realistic depiction of a wrestler's life that I've ever seen.
I think it's kind of like fertile ground for, the steroids and
Yep.
stuff guys through.
And guys that one after one are just dying, the steroid users too.
Right.
Of course. And it's horrible because they're all in their 40s and 50s. And
yeah, they're so young.
it's way too, I can speak from experience. Being in that situation is not fun. And I didn't do it because of steroids or anything. I had a bad heart. But, living in a hospital bed is not fun.
No, I get that. All right, so we should talk a little bit about Mr. Wonderful, Brett. Experience with him.
First question is, how did you hook up with Brett? How did you end up working for him?
I started working with Rat way back in the day, and Rat was invited to go on tour with Poison, nationwide tour with Poison and Cinderella. And because I worked with Rat, I, through that tour, I got to know Ricky Rocket and the guys in Poison. And little fact, a lot of people don't know is that for the first 5 years of Poison, I was with Ricky Rocket. I was his personal assistant in security. And Brett asked me to be a tour manager and go along with him on his solo projects. And I continued to stay with Poison and do Brett's solo projects. And Brett brought me into Rock of Love, and everything else just kind of fell into place. They're my family now.
We watched the pilot. We had watched quite a few episodes back when it aired.
I watched every single episode when it aired.
But we rewatched the
first. I didn't realize, and the first and second seasons I saw. I did not see I didn't realize there were more seasons after that.
But we did.
Yeah,
see
there was the third season.
I think we stopped having cable.
Yep. Well, the third season, it came down to simply, it's not working out and doing this in a house. Bring them into our world and let's see how they can hold up. And we took them out on tour with us, and that's when the shit hit the fan, if you will.
I can imagine. It kind of hit the fan though during that first episode. What was her name? Tiffany. You had your big shining moment when you kind of fired 5 girls right off the top because there wasn't enough.
Yeah, I said all I did was I said, ladies, in the real world, it happens like this in the real world, and it's happening like this here. Not everyone gets backstage. Your bags are at the end of the driveway. You're going home.
Yeah.
So why those 5 girls though?
Yeah, that's good.
2 of them I knew their back. 2 of them. Well, what happened was the producers and the directors of the show said, we got 25 girls. We can only have 20. I said, please don't get rid of anybody. Let me do what I do. And they're like, what are you going to do? And Brett was like, what are you doing? And I was like, just trust me. So, and Brett lets me do what I do. You know what I mean? He always has, he always will. If I mess up, then it's on me and I got to correct it. But I came back out and immediately I knew the background of two of the girls that I cut loose. Knew who they were with, who they dated, where they, you know, a couple of the other girls, I knew that they weren't gonna work out. They were too.
So you chose the 5.
I chose the 5. And what's up?
You know Brett's taste in women by this point.
Well, not only that, not only that, but I also know what this lifestyle brings, and there was no way in hell that they were gonna be able to handle it. You know, there was one girl I was like, she's not gonna be able to handle this. And Tiffany, lo and behold, fought her way back in, and
yeah,
she wound up getting booted anyway. But you know what I mean?
She was like letting
was good entertainment.
What's that old saying? A fox at a hen house or something?
Yeah, right.
I mean, she was or bull in a china shop. She came in and she got blasted.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Was up in everyone's grill.
She was an alcoholic.
You know, she told me, she said, you know, I'll sleep in the bathtub, I'll sleep on the floor, I'll do whatever. And all of a sudden, a little light bulb went off above my head, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah. That resonates.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying she was back in the house.
Right. And there was also, and I forgot this, you know, it was so far back, I didn't remember that there was actually a nude shot in the show.
A what?
There was a I don't know.
The one girl took her shirt off during the photography situation.
She showed there was a nip slip.
Oh yeah. Heather.
Yeah.
So they all took their clothes off. I mean, we lived with each other for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They were all,
but we didn't see that.
That's the other question I had. Is it like the Big Brother?
Believe me, Lisa, there's some things you just don't want to see.
But that's the other question. Did Brett, I mean, did you all live in the same house for whatever amount of time it was that the show?
Absolutely.
You didn't
Absolutely.
like leave and evening.
The thing about it was is what you saw is what you got. Just like with Brett's solo career and Brett's solo tour, he does everything that he says he's going to do, and he'll do it. That's why he's here 40 years later, still playing arenas and still doing the things that he's doing, because he doesn't lie, he doesn't bullshit. When we said we were going to live in the house and we were going to make the best of this situation and see what happened, that's exactly what we did. Now, mind you, I lived in a different part of the house because this was Brett's show, but I was always, you know, cameras are on you 24/7 and there's no getting away from it. So, you know, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes and on different camera angles that you may or may not have seen. But they were on our ass 24/7.
I'm surprised there's not more footage that got, you know, released post, you know, series or whatever. I'm surprised there's not.
There would be now, but
I'm sure if somebody brought it up, VH1 has that footage.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's there.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: did either you or Brett want to or develop a relationship with any of the girls outside of the show?
I can't speak for Brett, but I can speak for me. The second season, I briefly dated a girl named Corey Hutchinson, who was synonymous for when Brett did that quote unquote talent show. She held up the sign that said "Marry Me," and she misspelled "Merry" like "Merry Christmas." And I was like, okay, well, she's perfect for me because she's done with a box of rocks, so she'll never understand what I'm saying. So she's perfect for me.
That's the one.
John, you
like them dumb?
Higher now.
No, I'm just teasing. You know what? She's a great person. I don't know. I was just like,
At the time, that was criteria.
there was something about that was cute, and I appreciated it. But unfortunately, no, not unfortunately now, but fortunately, things didn't work out, and
froze up.
It's just it is what it is. But
And
yeah,
you have a wonderful woman now who challenges.
I'm sorry.
You have a wonderful woman now who challenges you.
She's starting to.
She's starting.
Good.
Say hi.
Oh gosh. He needs to. Keep him on his toes. He needs it.
I definitely will.
Yeah. So I mean that whole show is okay. So Kendra, our podcast friend Kendra, submitted some questions because she's a huge Brett fan. In fact, Brett was on Jimmy Kimmel, and they waited for 4 hours.
Oh, is that the one that said that she waited for like 4 hours?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I'll be honest with you. I do not remember that. I don't even remember being on Kimmel.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess he does. Occasionally, he would venture off without you. I guess maybe I don't know.
No. I mean, I would have been there, but I just don't remember it. There was probably some Anheuser-Busch or some kind of chemicals involved at that time. I don't know.
Possibly bourbon and chemicals.
Yeah, exactly.
Has there ever been any conversations about a revival? I guess she's
of Rock of Love.
Yeah.
No. I think we got out at the prime time. I got to be the first person, and besides Johnny Fairplay, I was the most disliked person for a short period of time after I cut 5 girls without anybody knowing it. Johnny Fairplay and myself shared a mutual hate for a short period of time. We went through 3 seasons of that. He went through, what was that? Survivor? Is that what Fairplay was on?
I was about to ask, who's Johnny Fairplay?
He was on Survivor. He's the one, and
So
he's
like
a
villain, I guess,
great
on
guy,
Survivor.
but he cheated the entire time. He was a great guy. But I think we did what we did. We made our impression. It was the number one and still remains the number one show in VH1's history, all 3 seasons. And I think we got out on top while we were still ahead. And I think we've been able to utilize that and capitalize on that and do things. A lot of opportunities became more available because of that. So, as far as Brett goes, I can't speak for it. I just know that I won't be a part of it.
Okay. In season 1, I don't know about the other seasons, but in season 1, there were 2 black girls and they were out early. Raven was out in the first episode, and Dallas made it to episode 3. Now I feel Dallas eliminated herself.
She did.
She seemed like she was a lot of fun, but the whole, I kill bunnies for fun shtick was
Well, the thing about it is Dallas was an amazing person. I have not seen her since. I wish we would cross paths because I really did like her. She was cool as hell. But she kept antagonizing Lacey and antagonizing her, and it made for great TV. It really did. It made for great TV.
But she was then you run a very, very crazy bear.
Yes, but then when you start doing the things that you're doing, and it starts affecting everyone else because it puts them in a dangerous situation where her and Lacey are fighting on the stairs, and there's alcohol being consumed, and you never know. You know, all it takes is one little spark for a fire to go off in that house, and you got 20 girls that are ready to kill each other, and you know, so Dallas eliminated herself. As far as Raven, I just really don't think that.
I understand she didn't really, once she was there, she realized she didn't really want to be there.
Right. And I don't think she really knew a whole lot about Brett, which didn't make it compatible for either of them.
Right.
You know, I just, she, you know, when she's on there and she says, oh yeah, I love every thorn has a rose. And I'm like, she doesn't even know the music. Why is she here?
I heard that.
Right. Yeah, I think that was one of the things that she didn't push herself towards Brett. She didn't really try. And
yeah, great girl, very nice. I mean, the times that I spoke with her, she was very nice. But
yeah, well, Kendra alluded to some, you know, some things that she thought should have been addressed behind the scenes about the way Black women were portrayed in the show, and I don't know.
How were they portrayed?
Get that. Yeah,
I'm assuming they were portrayed as slightly mindless bimbos who wanted to date a rock star.
right. I just
well, the shoe fits. You know, I don't know what to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what
white women portrayed. How were white women portrayed on Flavor
I think
Flav show?
Just any of those women are kind of, I would think, mindless. I mean, no offense to them, but I would think
it was
going
never
in
about
mindless
race.
bimbos.
It was never about race. It was never about anything.
Yeah,
it's like, you know,
yeah,
it's the same. It's the same way that the white women are portrayed on Flavor Flav. If you don't know why you're there, why are you there?
Yeah.
But yeah, she was just wondering if there was any discussion about it behind the scenes or anything like that.
Well,
no, because it was never an issue. I mean, there was never. Unfortunately, nowadays everything has to come back to race, and I don't see that. I've never been racial. Brett's not racial. I don't understand where that question comes from, because I mean, there's a lot more things to worry about than race when it comes to being involved with a rock star.
Right. Well, and my thing is, you have the Hollywood factor.
Yeah.
And like for instance, with Flavor of Love, I have heard that he was encouraged not to pick the white girls. But
I have no idea. I honestly, I have no idea, because I will tell you, I've met Flav on several occasions, and he is an absolute blast to be around. I love him to death.
Yeah,
he would have to be a blast to be around.
Yeah, he would. Well, these girls they're trying to make their way. They're trying to become stars too. You know, everybody.
Well, yeah, let's face it. These girls are on these shows. These girls are on these shows. They're not looking for love. They're not looking for marriage. They're looking to up their stripper ante. That's what they're doing. That's why as soon as these shows are over with, you see them doing showcases at, you know, Spearmint Rhino, or you see them doing club appearances where they're charging the club owners $2,000, $3,000 to come in and drink with their clientele.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they're looking for an angle where they can get themselves over, just like wrestling.
Right.
Just like
exactly. It's the angle. You're exactly right.
And they'll go to any lengths to stoke a fire. They'll, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
On top, but yeah. So let's. I don't know how much more time you got, John, but really,
I got a bunch more questions popping
up.
If I can remember what they were. I was wondering if you knew any people we'd have known. They'd have been a couple years older than you at Gressley. Who went to Norwood after Gressley? There were, I think, Clark Eads, Sean Cannon.
I knew Clark very well. Well, when we were kids. I have not seen Clark in probably 35 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since at least that.
I think he goes to Sidelines, or what was Sidelines, or.
Yep, I used to go there a lot.
Yeah.
What is it now?
Whenever I was in town.
It's gone, and now Sorrento's is there. But it's kind of a good night spot. Whenever you go up there Friday night, it's tough to get around the old band.
Wasn't it like a block from Sorrento's?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's
but I think that's all one big lot now.
It's all Sorrento's now.
Expanded. I think Sorrento's expanded a little bit or something. I'm not sure.
Do you know Steve Wilms?
I went to school with his sister, God rest her soul.
Oh, Susie, yeah. Rest in
Aw.
peace, Susie.
Oh, that's sad.
I haven't seen Steve since grade school, I think.
He was a good
Yeah.
guy. He stole
Did you
my
play
job,
football
third base
against,
job in Little League Baseball, and he was really apologetic about it.
Oh, yeah.
He was a slugger.
He was.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Did you ever play football against Rusty Faulkner?
Yes, I did. What a beast. I still talk to Rusty to this day. He's
Very cool.
he's the cutlery. He's into cutlery. He creates his own knives, swords, everything. I mean, he's a metal worker. He's a great guy. And every once in a while, I'll throw out a bone, or send out some smoke signals, and we'll touch base on Facebook or something, say hi. But obviously, as you get older, everybody goes their separate ways. But
Right.
He went instead of college football to the military too.
Yep, he did.
He was
To the
a great
Rangers.
He did. He was in the Rangers and special ops.
Oh, my brother was in the Rangers. Or no,
Yeah.
my brother was in the Green Beret.
He didn't make it to the 10-year Norwood High School reunion because he was paratrooping into the Olympics in Atlanta. I forget whether he was the red, the white, or the blue one.
That's right. I remember hearing that. That's right.
I got a ride back to Norwood from wherever the event was with some people, and I was like, wow, I'm disappointed I didn't get to see Rusty. And then Debbie Walker, his wife, was in the back seat. I didn't even realize it.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh no, he parachuted into the Olympics today. I'm like, what? He did what?
Okay,
Yep.
she chose the Norwood High School reunion over the Olympics. Although I
What's
guess
that?
the reunion's like every 10 years, whereas the Olympics is every 4.
No, he chose the Olympics.
No, he went to the
No,
Olympics.
she chose
Debbie. Oh,
Debbie.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
yeah. She didn't live in Georgia yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Real life John Rambo, Rusty.
Yes, he was.
Is. Who else
Much
might you have
respect.
known? You might have known
So
Bob
much
Dooley.
respect to him. Roger Brockman, Bill Pinson.
Roger Brockman, Bill Pinson. Yeah. They were.
God, there were so many people from Norwood that I knew. Still do. Trina Carmack, Kim Dallas, God, Becky Gesselbrock, all the Gesselbrocks.
All the Gesselbrocks.
Yeah, Mike, Becky,
Yeah.
God, I'd have to. I mean, if I started this list, it wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Ronnie and Donnie Click. I mean, it was.
Well,
There were a lot of people.
let me throw a wrench in and stop that line of thought. What about Mark Edwards? He's
Love
the
Mark
nephew
to death.
of our best friends.
Yeah, we've had Mark.
I love Mark to death. I absolutely love Mark. We grew up together. When he went to Notre Dame, I couldn't have been more proud of him. I think he graduated a year after me. Or what year did he graduate? 89?
Sounds about
Can't
right.
remember.
Yeah,
But
We went to the
we have kept in touch to this day. I love that guy to death. Thank God he's got a Super Bowl ring. He did everything he set out to do, and it was absolutely amazing.
I remember.
Yeah, we're really close friends with Ken and Cheryl Carey.
You see him on the football field. He was about twice the size of anybody else on the football. It was like he was a man among kids.
You probably
Mark's a
have
great
some
guy.
idea of what that was like.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I mean, I kind of think that you got on still well with older boys because of your height, maybe.
Oh yeah, because I could get beer.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
That's
Heck,
the
when
easy
I
thing.
was 27, I was still getting carded for beer.
I got
I was
a
using-
name for you.
I was still getting carded at the movies at 27.
Oh good God.
I got a name for you, John. One thing that we do have in common is that we've both been the neighbor of Juanita Brock.
I love her. Absolutely love her. I see her quite a bit out at events, and her husband plays in a band, and we see each other out a lot. And man, do we have some stories from when we were growing up? But that's a whole another show.
I think she had more fun with you as her neighbor than me, because I was like inside, I was like brooding, I was like
still a little bit of an
a little
inside
bit of
guy.
introvert, and she met you, and I think she had more fun with you as her neighbor.
Probably.
But
I was a good neighbor. What can I say?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what about Vince Lumboy? I mean,
What was your question? Next question. Next question.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I don't deal with him anymore.
Okay, understood.
I like to deal with real people, not people who try to put off a perception that's not true.
Okay, no problem.
Well, what about, okay, so as we get to like the nitty gritty here, you're obviously, you were in security for these rock stars, but you weren't your average security guy. You know, you weren't just, I mean, some of the fame over into your life. You became a character on your own, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what was that like? I mean, in this podcast I listened to you on, you know, you were talking about, you were standing there with Billy Gibbons, and I can't remember who the other guy was.
Yep.
And
I'll tell you what, the best way that I can describe it is this. I kept my mouth shut, and I learned what I needed to do in order to advance in this business. I took the advice from the people who really mattered, the Doc McGee's, the Patrick and Diane Whitley's, Sharon Osbourne's, you know, Mark Hogue's. I took the advice of the people that really, really made a name for themselves, and really, you know, Brett, Ricky, Stephen Piercy, Brian Setzer, Kid Rock, you know, and the greatest thing about it is not only did I have a job to do, but I got to live the life of a rock star too. You know, I don't want to ever say that I was the fifth Beatle. I'm just honored and that when the name of these bands come up, my name sometimes gets shared in conjunction with these artists and what they've created.
Yeah.
You know,
I did see that you actually sang a song with
Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Right after they got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Rick Nielsen calls me out on stage. Here in Cincinnati, calls me out on stage, and I got to sing their final song, "Surrender," for everyone at Riverbend, and it was the greatest feeling in the world, because Robin turns around and he's like, "Who the heck?" He goes, "Holy shit, John can sing."
Oh wow, really? I was going to ask about your voice. Mine is
Mama's all right.
That was good.
When wants to hear me sing?
My sister's husband actually knew Robin Zander well enough where he drove him to school when they were in Illinois.
What an amazing guy he is.
There's a Juanita.
Did you work with
on
Cheap Trick then
Facebook
too?
Saying hi, John.
Yeah, that's one.
What's up?
Neighbors.
Hey, Juanita.
Did
Juanita's
you work? Oh, hi,
Oh,
Juanita.
is she on there? I tell her hi.
Yep.
Did you work with Cheap Trick as well? I mean, how did they know you to call you out?
Tour with them. I was never on their payroll, but they were on tour with us. And God, what an amazing band. You know, I mean, I've been blessed to work with some of the greatest people in the world, like Cheap Trick, Def Leppard, L.A. Guns, Faster Pussycat, Cinderella, Great White. You know, I mean, I have been so, ironically, it's all the same era of music that, you know, the Sunset Strip, Decade of Decadence bands.
It's all the Poison era.
Yeah, and I've gotten lucky with Kid Rock, because that went on to a different generation and a different era. Brian Setzer and Stray Cats was something completely different. But like I said, I'm honored and blessed that when people discuss them and their bands and the name of those organizations, you know, every once in a while, you know, my name gets brought up in similar conversations. And I got to live the lives of 10 men.
It's like being Peter Grant with Led Zeppelin or something.
Yeah.
Good analogy. Did you ever come across, like, you got like Altamont, right? And you got these incidents like
He's a little younger
Woodstock
than
99. Yeah. And also you had this thing that was the most recent one was Travis Scott, and he may have been almost complicit in what happened at that Astro World festival that got really out of hand. You ever been involved in a crowd at a live event where you felt like things were getting dangerous? For Brett or any of
That's
your...
actually a really good question.
Yeah, I agree.
He comes up with a good
I
one.
think there was one rockin' what the hell they call that? It was in North Dakota, Rockfest or something. That I think one time it started to get a little bit out of control. We had to, not we, but everyone that was involved had to kind of stand back and reel everybody back in and get them back before somebody got hurt, because Woodstock '99 was a travesty. That was a mess.
Yeah.
That was an absolute shit show.
Stupid.
Yeah.
People got hurt. People were getting raped. It was horrible. That's the worst situation that you could ever imagine. So a lot of people learn from that in my field. A lot of people learn from that in production management and stage production, to where if that was to ever happen again or start to go that way, we would know what to do. But unfortunately, just like the Who, you don't know some of these situations until they happen, and it's too late.
Right. I think at Woodstock they thought the evening was virtually over, and then and it got ramped up towards midnight, and
Limp
then
Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, and I think Kid Rock was there too, wasn't he?
He was, but everything was going smooth. It was you could start to feel a little bit of tension in the air, and then Fred came out and
Did
lit
exactly
the
what they
fuse.
told him not to do.
Yep.
It's like in pure rock and roll fashion, did exactly what he was not supposed to.
When you see a million people bouncing up and down singing "Give Me Something to Break," it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go. I really appreciate you giving us this time. So let's go around the room real quick and have any final questions for John, starting with Aaron.
I just had one. It slipped out of my mind. Come back to me.
Okay. Well,
I'd like to talk to you about transplants offline for very personal reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk to you, because that's become a very big
Talk about it online if you like.
that's become a very big topic in my life, and I really
want to advocate for it.
take pride in that, and I want to help people, because organ.
Phil Lesh at every
Unfortunately,
show.
with organ donation, people don't realize how important it is until they need it.
Yeah, Phil Lesh gives an organ donation speech before every encore.
Yes.
Grateful Dead bassist.
Yep.
Yeah,
He had a liver transplant
very much
20 years ago.
into blood donation, and I donated apheresis for many years. I had to stop. My kidneys started failing.
Right.
So,
Oh shit.
yeah.
Lisa's
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that. I'll talk to you about it off the air.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I'm fine with talking about transplant on the air. I just didn't want anything to be about me.
Oh God, please.
Yeah. Well, I do. It's about you.
No,
it's your podcast.
You're well within your rights to talk transplants with a transplant recipient here, Lisa. Feel free
Absolutely.
Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely.
I'm working on being eligible. I have most of it. I just need to get my BMI down.
It's something
Sure.
she's very serious. She's always
And
taking.
that's a gimme. And believe it or not, a lot of people might not think that that's important, but it is very important.
Yes.
One of the things that I've done since my transplant and since I received the organ donation is I do Facebook videos on my page, and I try to do them about once a month. In the very beginning, I was doing them like once or twice a week. And I try to let people know, hey, this is what happened this week. This is what happened in the last 2 weeks. That way, if they have family members or loved ones that are going to go through this or are going through this, they know that they're not alone, because I can say, hey, I went through this. This is what you can expect. And like I said, I'm an open book. I ask people, call me, text me, do whatever. I'll help you in whatever way that I can. But luckily, knock on wood, there's been a lot of people who have said, hey, your videos are helping me, because I didn't know why my brother, husband, aunt, wife I didn't understand why they were acting the way they were. And, so it helps.
Yeah. And I feel like a more layman's idea of what's going on is a good idea, because your doctors and your nurses can tell you stuff, but not everybody speaks doctor and nurse.
Absolutely.
And your
Absolutely.
doctors and nurses probably didn't have the transplant.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, so you're originally we were talking about doing a Sunday. You said you couldn't because you're working the fireworks. What are you doing with that?
I'm not working. I was going to go down there, but actually plans have changed. I'm going to be probably going up to see Brett here in Northern Ohio.
Oh, cool. All right.
So he's doing a show at the what was that, some fairgrounds up by Toledo. So I've got a bunch of people that have relayed a message that they were going, who I haven't seen in forever, and I'm really looking forward. You know, whenever Brett's in the area, it's a
Yeah,
couple
have
hours
fun.
away. I especially with the heart transplant, I can't be out on tour, but I can still be out there with him whenever he's around here.
I remember one or kind of two of the questions I was going to ask you now. Did you live in Southern California back in the day when all that?
For a brief period of time. I lived in
I
Studio
moved out
City.
here in '92. And you live in Cincinnati now, or what part of town?
Yeah, I live on the west side, out in Green Township, Bridgetown area.
Cool.
92. I was still in the Marines, so it would have been more like 99, 2000, 2001 when I lived out in LA.
Well,
Yeah.
Aaron was still there.
I moved here 2 weeks after the Rodney King riots.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you were there.
Oh, that was good timing.
Yeah, lived in Van Nuys, then Hollywood, then Calabasas, Encino,
Calabasas is beautiful.
Santa Monica, Woodland Hills, and now I've been in Thousand Oaks for about 20 years.
I like Thousand Oaks, beautiful area.
Yeah, I love it here.
Yeah, it is lovely.
We visited. It
Mhm.
was really nice.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Okay, Danny has a final question. He says he gets one.
He gets as many as he wants.
Since your surgery, you've had time to reflect. What's next? And you don't have to know.
I don't know. I don't know what's next. Honestly, all I can tell you is that I live day by day.
Concert in Northern Ohio.
I'm retired now until something otherwise changes.
Mhm.
I don't know what's next. I just know that I'm going to continue doing the work that I'm doing as far as with Abbott Medical, and they just finished up a documentary on me and from about wrestling and everything with the heart disease and how I continued and I never quit. I think what I'm going to do now
leads right
is
into plugs. What would you like to?
Yes.
There's going to be a huge documentary and a commercial coming out in September that's aligned with Abbott Medical. That will definitely, and I'll make sure that you guys get a link to it when I get it, and it gets out there and it's public. But I'm going to be going around the country to medical expos, talking to doctors, nurses, residents, fellows about what life is like without life-sustaining measures being taken, and what happens when life-sustaining measures are taken and how it directly affects your life and how everything changes, and not only perspective, but your feelings, everything, your psyche, everything changes. The thing about transplants is, and I can't get this through to enough people, it's not the physical part of it. The physical part of it is over in a matter of like month, 2 months. The psychological and the emotional part of it will drive you insane, because one of the first things, and there's many more that I still have to work on. One of the first things that I had to change was my perception of why I got a heart transplant. I kept telling people, I'm alive or this kid died so I could live, because this kid died. And that's not that. I had to physically, I had to adjust it and reverse that mentality. I'm alive because he died. He didn't die for me.
Exactly.
And then once you look at it that way, it becomes a little bit more.
He didn't know you, man.
More, what's the word? Acceptable, I guess. You can deal with it a little bit more, but
Palatable.
there's a whole lot of medicines and and steroids and cyclosporin and your immune system is zero. There's a whole lot of things that you go through where your whole body just completely changes on you and you look at life a whole different way. But I mean, as far as what's next, I'm going to continue to take the gift that I've been given and try to help my daughter. She just started college, and I'm going to, I think I did a good enough job in letting her know why it's important not to quit. She's even said it a couple of times. She's like, anybody else would have quit. My sister said it. You've never complained about anything. You've turned it into positives. That's the way that I am. That's the way I feel. That's what being in the rock star world. That's what being in the movies. That's what everything taught me. If you don't live your dreams, you're going to die saying, I wish I would have. So you fight every day for what you want,
Well, actually, this opens up for my sister-in-law's question that I was going to ask you later. There are stories about people who have gotten a new organ and suddenly developed tendencies, traits, tastes that they didn't have before. Do you feel like that's happened?
I hesitated, but I wanted to say something.
I do to a degree. I don't know if it's ever been scientifically proven, but what I do know is that when you have and I'm speaking on my experience, when you have a heart transplant, you get what's called a divergent. I think it's divergent. Hold on a minute. Divergent heart, where your heart is not connected to your circulatory system, so it's literally about 6 minutes behind everything. I'll start working out or I'll start doing something and my heart plays catch up. And then, for instance, in an active shooter situation, somebody could come in and actually start shooting. And while everybody else's heart rates and blood pressure is going through the roof, I'm sitting here going, boom, 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 boom. Okay. Oh, wait, something's happening. You're supposed to react. That is the weirdest thing. As far as the food tendencies and everything, yeah, when I first got my transplant, and this has kind of faded off more recently than ever, all I craved was salads, chicken, and steak. I mean, I always loved steak, but for me to sit down and purposely go out of my way to get salads was weird to me. And I'm like, okay, something's going on.
Your body knew it needed those nutrients.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was because of the transplant or if that was just my body saying, quit eating the garbage.
Discovered Olive Garden.
Well, I'm glad I got to ask that question.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, do you like mushrooms?
Like mushrooms, like on my salad?
Psilocybin, or do you mean
mushrooms? Do you like mushrooms?
Oh yeah, I put them on my steak and stuff all the time.
There's a mushroom sauce that you can get on the build your own. You build your own pasta. It's a mushroom. Oh my! It is so good.
Oh, you freaked me out there for a minute. I'm like, I know that doctors are talking about using mushrooms and stuff. I said, no, I'm sober for 12 years.
I'm a fan aficionado and whatever you want to call it of the mushroom.
We went to Olive Garden on my birthday.
You thought this was going to be a microdosing conversation, and
in fact,
it was a gravy conversation.
At the end, we ended up ordering one to go of the same meal because it was that good.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to try that.
It's good. All right, John. Your wife will probably want you back here at some point. So we really enjoyed having you on.
She's had him for a while.
Everybody fill out your organ donation cards.
Yes, become an organ donor. I can't stress it enough. Not only because you may need it someday, but I guarantee you it saves lives. I'm living proof.
Absolutely. I was raised by organ donors. I have been an organ donor since the very beginning. The first thing they asked me, I was like a yes.
Yep. And I'm trying to get it out there so people understand before they need it how important it is. You know what I mean? So
who's still out there alive I can say goodbye to?
Oh,
bye Danny. Bye Terry.
We've got Chris.
Bye Juanita.
Terry, Chris.
Bye Chris.
I believe Chris and Cash are probably watching together. So if that's true, hi Cash. Danny, of course. Juanita.
Thea
Okay.
was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Admin
I think
Thea.
Thea had to step away. but-
TJ.
TJ. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Absolutely. What a great night.
Yep. It was
Thanks
great.
thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for everybody that joined us live.
Fun and informative.
Say hello to Brett and
Absolutely.
Tiffany for us
Mhm.
when you see it.
Absolutely. Get out there and enjoy
Also-
live music, guys.
Yeah,
I'm
enjoy
just
your
saying,
show this weekend.
Talk.
All right.
Huh?
Enjoy the
Talk.
concert.
Yeah, give me a call. Give me a call sometime. We'll discuss that other stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We have social.
Twitter,
Yeah. Pod.
Instagram,
Yeah. Pod.
Facebook.
Yeah. Pod. So let us know. Hit us back. Have a great week.